Weird House Press has done something incredible, something that I would never imagine. They managed to take the genre of kids' horror, books that oftentimes in the modern age end up feeling like Goosebumps knockoffs, homages to that, trying to rely on nostalgia and things that kind of sell, and sticking to sometimes the same type of recycled, formulaic story ideas with different levels of execution to them. And what Weird House Press has done is effectively make kids' horror stories, books that are aimed towards both adults and kids alike. Basically, the campaign and idea behind these is that parents can buy these books and then enjoy the books themselves while at the same time read them to their kids. And it's because Weird House Press is an underground adult horror publisher. They do weird fiction. They are the house of one of my favorite authors, Tim Curran. And over the last, I think, couple of years, they've released 4 kids' horror books, basically kids' horror extended universe, and they've all been great. I mean, some of them have been good, some of them have been great, some of them have been perfect, but they've genuinely impressed and shocked me overall. These books feel cinematic. They have some of the most fantastic action sequences. They have fantastic villains. All 4 of these books, each villain in each of these books, are in my top 5 favorite villains from kids' horror. It's fantastic what these guys are able to do, as well as all that great characterization, relatability, some nostalgia thrown in there, all that good stuff. Emotional moments, tense moments, high stakes, a lot of obstacles that the characters have to overcome, and it makes it really satisfying. And you have some dark endings, you have some satisfying happy endings, a good mixture overall. Now, these Weird House Press horror books, 3 of them I've done thorough reviews for. 1 of them I've not because I need to do a reread. But if you want to go to my channel and check out some of the previous reviews I did, you can go search for those, or maybe I can find the links and put them down below in the description or maybe a pinned comment. But let me just go briefly over the 4 Weird House Press horror books, which are all by different authors. You have Robert Piatone, Dottie Enderdahl, Stephen Van Samson, and you have Tim Wagner, who was an adult horror author that recently released a book last year towards the end. So let's go. The first book I read from this run was Wanna Play a Game by Dottie Enderdahl. This one, as you can see by the cover, that is beautiful. It looks like a video game DVD that you could go ahead and pick up at your local Walmart or something. This one is about 2 kids who are best friends, and they are essentially video game nerds. They love doing VR gaming. They're very competitive against each other and know a lot about different VR games. And they end up getting this opportunity to test out a new VR game that's about to release, and they become basically like exclusive players and testers. And when they start engaging within the VR game, they realize that this VR game actually transports them, isekais them over to this RPG dungeons kind of video game where you go level by level and you fight infernal demons and different monsters depending on the different levels in different environments such as flaming caves, water settings, quicksand, desert settings, and they have to essentially beat all of these creatures, go level by level. But as they play, they realize that when they die in the game and go back to real life, any injuries that they sustain in the VR game actually reflects IRL. And that lets them know that something supernatural, something occult is going on. And let's just say that there might be a literal demon that has infested the game. Maybe the game was made around this demon to use its influence. And one of the injuries that the best friend takes causes him to start slowly getting possessed by that powerful entity and demon. And the main character's job is to find a way to not only beat the VR game, but find a way to exorcise that entity and save the day. This was a great book, and it was a great first read. Again, there's fantastic action sequences throughout this book. When they're in the VR game in the dungeon setting and they're going to level, you get that RPG type of stuff. Some of the stuff that you might like from stuff like Dungeon Crawler, whatever, the new books that are coming out, that type of stuff is in here, fighting all these different creatures in these different settings. The idea that whatever happens to you in the game and that addictive angle of playing a video game can then damage you IRL. The idea that the entity gives no F's. This entity is straight down to business, ready to do stuff to harm the kids just because it can, and that's its nature. And there's a 3-part climax. There is the main character having to go in and beat every single level of the video game, then having to face off against the demon in one of his favorite VR games to try to outsmart it and destroy its ego, and then he has to exorcise the thing IRL to save his best friend. Such a great read, and I was genuinely shocked that this was like a first entry into these books before I got to the other 3. But let's talk about those other 3. Next one I read is Sleepy Hollow Gang by Robert Piatone. This one I gave a straight perfect. This is a perfect kids horror extended universe story that again is very cinematic and action-packed about a new kid who moves to a part of New York City's suburb town, which is Sleepy Hollow. And he ends up meeting a bunch of different characters which end up assembling this type of monster squad, loser squad that's getting ready for Halloween to have some fun. And there is an urban legend, a Bloody Mary Candyman kind of ritual that kids and high schoolers can do, where you go to a graveyard with the mirror, with some candles, do the specific rituals above a grave of a dead person, and you can bring their ghost back into the real world. So they decide to do that with the Headless Horseman. And this main character has been getting plagued by nightmares involving the spirit of the Headless Horseman, and then they end up summoning it. And it starts wreaking havoc across, Sleepy Hollow. And they have to work as a monster squad to save the day, deal with it, and also free all the souls and spirits that have been tortured by this Headless Horseman. And the villain in this one, again, is amazing. I mean, there is movie-level, anime fight scene type of action sequences. The powers of the Headless Horseman, the aura farming that this Headless Horseman does is insane. Pyrokinesis, reassembling it together in, Frankenstein manner with pumpkin rinds, the kids fighting it with all type of weapons, having to get the spirits involved to help them deal with it. All types of great stuff. And the stakes that these kids go through, the characterization, every single member of this monster squad, the Sleepy Hollow Gang, gets equal shine, and you fall in love with the cast of characters. A lot of good emotional moments, plenty of genuinely funny moments that made me laugh out loud. And such a fantastic climax and finale where you see them dealing with what's happened and then teasing that there might be future adventures to come as a new monster squad. Such a great book, such a great story. There's actually a short story from a different short story collection he did that takes the Sleepy Hollow Gang and makes them face off against a monster in another adult horror book that he featured on Weird House Press called The Curse of the Cobman. That one's not really for kids. It's like an adult horror story with kids in it, but that one is also amazing. So I love this universe, and Sleepy Hollow Gang is 100% one of my favorite Halloween horror stories that I've ever read. And without a doubt, it's my favorite kids horror Halloween story I've ever read. Yes, I mean, as in it's above The Haunted Mask. And The Haunted Mask too. And I love those. Those I give pretty much like a 10 out of 10 perfect as well. But this one is just, in my opinion, everything that I was looking for and a step up. So yes, I give it a high bar, but if you read it and you go in fair without any type of bias or agenda, you will see what I'm talking about when you read it. The third one I read is The Unpleasant Mr. Sniff. This is my favorite cover. I love this cover of the book. This one is about a pair of siblings who the younger sibling is having trouble sleeping because there are urban legends going on in this town about a figure, an entity, a vampire boogeyman hybrid. Yes, a vampiric boogeyman named Mr. Sniff, because it's a creature that's said to be blind, and yet it hunts by smell, and it drains the blood and life force of kids and can use these parasites to transform them and all types of crazy stuff. And basically the main character has to find a way to protect his family, protect his brother, who thinks that Mr. Sniff may have entered into their house and is starting to target their family, and they have to find a way to solve the mystery and defeat Mr. Sniff before bad things happen. And the ending to this one is dark. It is a dark ending. It is a reveal that scales up the story, gives you like a big, like, oh, damn, like that's the situation that's going on in this town. And it very much, if you've read Welcome to Dead House and you know the ending to that book, it's like that, but scaled up. and even crazier. And this one is kind of bordering kids horror. There's some inappropriate moments in here that's like, okay, there's some swear word stuff that's like, that wouldn't pass. But honestly, if you cut out the swear word stuff, everything else you can apply to kids horror. So this is like a kids horror. Again, elevated kids horror, extended universe. Maybe if you're reading it to your kids, or you heard bad things IRL. So, maybe a few things out there you'll be like, that won't really work. But literally the rest of the story is kids horror. And it's amazing, man. It's got some creep show elements, and Mr. Sniff is horrifying. Yes, he is accurate to the book. And a vampiric boogeyman that can infect you and make you into vampire minions with parasites. And he's on straight demon timing. I mean, he is on straight demon timing. There are aspects to him where he shows off some abilities of like a vampire that they try to use as a weakness against him. And he's like, no, 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 no. He doesn't speak. He doesn't go, no, 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 like Matumbo. But he gets on straight Matumbo timing, if you dig what I'm saying. So yeah, this was my least favorite of the four, but I still give it an 8.4 out of 10 good. High good, bordering very good. Just because the first half was a little dragged on with the page count. But listen, man, upon that reread, I might bump it up. It depends. We'll see. But nonetheless, you got to check it out. And the last one is the latest one. It's my absolute favorite, I Scream, You Scream by Tim Wagner. This book is about a boy who is moving back into a neighborhood that his mom used to live at. Relatively new because he's only been there for like a year or so. And he ends up having these nightmares. These Freddy Krueger-like nightmares where an entity, a warped, crazy-looking, monstrous ice cream man named Mr. Freezy is trapping him in a realm, I think called like Candy World or something, where it's all different ice cream stuff, gimmicks and ice cream golems and quicksand made of ice cream. And every single night he's getting tormented by this ice cream man named Mr. Freezy. But eventually when he wakes up, he then sees Mr. Freezy's ice cream truck patrolling the streets at night and appearing in front of his house. And when he looks at it, Mr. Freezy makes contact to him, reveals that it might just not be a nightmare. There might be more than meets the eye going on. And this town has an urban legend about Mr. Freezy, which is that at night he will patrol the streets in his ice cream truck, and all the parents advise that kids stay inside. Do not go out. Do not go to the windows, because if you do, Mr. Freezy will get attached to your kid, and he will keep on doing crazier and crazier pranks on them. Stuff that might risk their lives and risk their sanity, until one day he eventually kidnaps them and they're never seen again. Permanent missing children. And this has been generational. There are parents who have dealt with Mr. Freezy when they were kids, maybe even older than that, and it's the idea of generational trauma, generational issue, and it's going to be up to the main character if he wants to save his family and save the suburb and save himself to figure out how to defeat Mr. Freezy and what to do about him. Meanwhile, Mr. Freezy is on straight Thanos timing, demon timing. Like, nah, kid, you going down, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing. None of your friends are going to do shit to me because I'm on that type of timing. But how does the story resolve? You got to see. And there's even some aspects about Spawn. If you know about Spawn coming back from hell with all those powers. Let's just say there's a kid's horror version of the devil. That maybe when the original person who was Mr. Freezy in the human world had died, instead of going to heaven, his personality might have led him to get into contact with that evil entity, and they gave him the powers of a demigod. Next level shit. But that one gets a 10 out of 10 perfect as well. So yeah, basically all of these books are bangers. And as I mentioned, there's commonalities between all of these. Why is this elevated kids horror? Because all four of these feel like movies. They feel like high budget movies when you're reading it. A lot of the time when you read books, not just kids horror, books in general, there's that idea that it can feel like you're slogging through a book. It might take its sweet time and whatnot. No, with these books, when you're reading it, it feels like you're watching through a movie. It doesn't feel like the page count is the way it is. No, it feels like you fly through the pages, and by the time you're done, you're like, damn, I'm already done? That's how engaging they are. Characterization. All these different characters, you fall in love with them, they're relatable, you like them, they got all different aspects and personalities to them, but all the kids have the same thing. They go through a lot of obstacles, a lot of high stakes, a lot of the most dangerous, most powerful villains to ever exist in the kids' horror extended universe. and they managed to basically go neck to neck with them, cat and mouse, head to head. And that's what makes you realize that these are some of the most goated characters. Not necessarily because of their personalities being the best. There's other characters out there that you might love more from other books, but what they go through and how they overcome it is what's fantastic. It's not a Mickey Mouse, Disney Channel kind of weak ass villain. No, it's some life threatening, world is on the line, your neighborhood is on the line. You have to do what you have to do, otherwise things are going to go awry. And that's the type of level of stuff that they go through. You have good emotional moments, you have cinematic action sequences. Now, there was a new Goosebumps book that came out, One Night at Camp Bigfoot, which is a good book. And of course, it had good action in the climax, but it's good action for Goosebumps. When we rate those type of things, it's respective to those type of books. But when you read something like Strange Matter, the two authors, Johnny Barnes and Marty Engel, wrote those, from what I've heard, to be like movies. So they have some of the most amazing action sequences. But what they often don't have is set up, build up, a solid story. It sometimes just throws you into the action. All of these Weird House Press horror books, all 4 of them that I covered, they have the perfect happy marriage. They have those cinematic moments, action sequences, next level stuff that makes you go, holy shit. And at the same time, they have that setup, that characterization, that story that makes you feel like, okay, I saw a journey. I saw a beginning, middle, end. I saw everything play out the way it needed to. And I got introduced to every character so that way I could invest myself within them, engage with them. And that's the main point. So yeah, man, if you read these books, and then you read something like Goosebumps. Goosebumps is good. I'm still a fan of Goosebumps. I love Goosebumps. But it's almost like your third eye opens up. It's like when you read these, you're like, this is what kids' horror could be? And that's why Weird House Press has done such a fantastic job. Because they are not making these to be like, hey guys, we're the next Goosebumps. They're not making these to be like, hey guys, if you love the 90s, if you love this, go check out our stuff. They're saying, no, we're going to take it to the next level. We know stuff like Goosebumps is out there. We know stuff like other kids' horror series, modern ones and old ones are existing. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to raise the stakes. We're going to make it so that grown women and grown men and, girls and boys can both love these type of stories. And parents can read it to their kids. And while kids think that it's awesome, the parents will also be like, yeah, this was a good read. This is a good thing to show off and brag about. So yeah, they may not get to your local school library or whatnot, but nonetheless, these are fantastic things that you should go ahead and pick up. I recommend that you get all 4 of them. You can get paperback copies of The Sleepy Hollow Gang and The Unpleasant Mr. Sniff on the Weird House Press website, and also Barnes & Noble, I think, has both of them. And for Tim Wagner's modern story, I Scream, You Scream, and for Dottie Enderdole's Wanna Play a Game, you can get the paperbacks and other versions, but they are on Amazon and Kindle to buy if you want to save some money and get a digital copy. And that's all I got for today, man. Listen, if you guys have not checked out these books, what are you doing? Stop waiting. You may sit there and think that, oh, I'm exaggerating, but I always do the same thing I always do. I challenge you. Read it and then come back to me. And I'm not going to lie to you. If someone read these 4, and let's say they're kids horror fans, like they're used to reading kids horror. It's not like some guy who only reads adult horror and then he reads it. No, people who are used to reading kids horror. If you read these and you come up to me and you say like, oh, that was bad. Oh, that was mid. Oh, that was decent. I'm going to side-eye the hell out of you because I'm going to be like, you really believe that? You really believe that, or are you being vindictive? You really believe that? Because I genuinely believe in the quality. I'm willing to bet money on the quality of these books. And if someone said, hey, Horrorlander, hey, Shiv, what kids horror books in that universe, extended universe, would you want to be made into movies with good budgets? I would immediately pick all 4 of these. Even though I've got other books that I would like to see turned into movies or adapted, I would pick these 4. Because I'd be like, these are ones that if you got the right marketing and the right budget and the right crew behind it, executing it, it'll be things talked about, it'll be things loved by a lot of people, and it may even go mainstream popular. That's how much I'm willing to bet on these, especially my 2 favorites, which is I Scream, You Scream, and Sleepy Hollow Gang. But even the other 2 could do a fantastic job, especially with the modern climate and how people are looking for interesting stories to read and experience. So yeah, that's all I got for today. Shout out to Weird House Press. And of course, since Weird House Press, I can't even speak. That's how much greatness we've covered in this video. My brain is short circuit. I'm actually short-circuiting. Weird House Press. Tim Curran is your main head honcho guy. Effectively, what Creepshow was like to Shudder, that is what Tim Curran is like to Weird House Press. Tim Curran, the chance of you making a kids' horror book was 0 before. And then I found out that your publisher has kids' horror books already on there. And then I found out that Tim Wagner, one of your colleagues, who you both have submitted stories to the same anthology collections several times over, maybe have a connection, some contact together. Make a kid's horror book, Tim Curran. If you throw your hat into the ring, I'm willing to bet money on you. I know the monsters and shit that you create will be absolutely fantastic. And I know that if you just take the time to maybe read a few Goosebumps books, maybe read these Weird House Press books, think about your kids, because I know you got kids when they were younger, you can come up with the idea and perspective of a child and make a kid's horror extended universe story. So please, universe and Tim Curran and Weird House Press, all of you work together to make it happen. And Tim Wagner, reach out to him if you can. That's all I got for today. Deuces. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Comment down below. Have you read any of these Weird House Press books before? Are you going to? And when you do read them, comment on this video and let me know your thoughts about them. And take care for the rest of today. And until the next time I see you when we got more content to come. Deuces.